We've been going since 1972. It was originally two guys called Don Proudlock and Jack Wakefield who had had a portable railway going around traction engine rallies, county shows, game fairs. I was travelling with them, driving the thing. The three of us set to in September of 1971, dug the track out, laid the track, all done by hand, no machinery involved in those days. We opened at Easter of 1972 on a back and forward shuttle on the partly built track, and then about June of 1972 the full circle, and we've been going ever since.
We're always a friendly face behind the bar. You know, if people are having a bad day, they come to us and share their stories with us, and we make them smile and we have a laugh with them. A few Christmases ago, we always shut on Christmas Day, but there were 17 of us, and we did a shared Christmas dinner. I was living upstairs, so, you know, I did the veg, someone did the turkey, someone did the duck, someone brought desserts, and we got the big trestle table and we all sat down here together because I couldn't bear the thought of people being by themselves on Christmas Day.
I was 2, 3-year-old. We had a pear tree in the garden. We'd pick the pears up. My mum and dad had no childcare at the time, so it'd sit us on the counter, bucket of pears, £1 each, and nobody's going to say no to a toddler, are they, selling pears on a counter of the fish and chip shop? So that was my first job, really, selling pears on the counter. And you're not going to say no to that, are you? It's class.
When we first moved to the low top, and a couple who lived opposite came to our house and they knocked on the door, and we were thinking, who is it? You know, we don't know anyone in this street. And it was a lady called Sylvia and her husband called Ron, and they brought some apple pies, I think. And we were quite, surprised. Why would they come? And they says, we just live opposite. And surely enough, the next day they came to my house when I think I was about 10, and they helped my mum get settled in, doing the beds for her. And Sylvia told me my first ever bedtime story in English. Imagine that. In this day and age, that just wouldn't happen. But back then it happened. And I can remember my dad said to me and my siblings, from today, Sylvia is Aunt Sylvia, Ron is Uncle Ron. And they, I think, really shaped my understanding of what community is all about.
An old machine that we used to have was basically a refrigerated wall, maybe about 6 foot high. And the ice cream mix would be pumped up the center of this unit and then trickle down the outside. So there's basically just a curtain of a white ice cream mix just flowing down back into a trough at the bottom and then into an aging vat. And that was quite good to see.
And I had the real pleasure of working with my Aunt Christine, who was my dad's sister for the first 15 years. She sadly passed away, but she was the one who made the business survive when my grandfather died. It was her. And imagine a woman back in 1966 leading the charge of a business. She was some woman.
A while ago I had to go into A&E and I was poorly, and I was being pushed in a trolley to a ward, with the oxygen and the intravenous drip. And the guy pushing us said, it's Tommy, isn't it? And I said, yes. He said, down at the amphitheatre, used to get everybody up to do Betty Bob Bob, balloon back buttons. I said, oh, yeah, like this. He said, you never got me up. I said, all right, I'm sorry about that, man. He said, if I do it now while I'm pushing you to the ward, will you count? So he pushed me to the ward doing Betty Bob Bob, balloon back buttons, Betty Bob Bob, balloon back buttons. And he said, did I do it? I said, yeah, you did it. He said, I'm going to go home, tell me, Mum.
I've lived in this country now more than 40 years. So my sense of community has now grown. For me, I don't feel that the Indian community is my community, or I just belong to the community in South Shields. They're important for me at day-to-day level, but I feel that my community has really grown to a much bigger level, possibly at global level, because I now think about my journey here, why I'm here, and actually what is the connection between Britain and India that, connected me to this place in the first instance.
But the people in Shields, we get to see them on a daily basis. They're so proud of the fact of where they're from. Sandancer means something to them, you know, and that means that Shields by the same thing. That means Shields means something to them as well, you know.
There's people that we've met doing this that are, you know, ordinarily customers, but now really close friends with, and we know a lot about them. They know about us personally, and it's because you see them, you know, not necessarily shopping, but they'll walk past every day. They'll be walking the dog, or they'll be going to the baths across the road, and they'll pop their head and say hello, say good morning. You see them out and about, and it forms sort of a relationship with the people in Shields.
Yeah, salt of the earth. That's one of the main things that we've noticed. That people from Shields are salt of the earth people.
I travel for food. I used to go 40, 50 countries, my life, you know, for food. So I know the food, you know. So instead of India, if you want to have some ethnic, you know, old way, old curry, we are not the fancy restaurant, you know. We want to our originally, you know, what is the Indian curry is. If you want to have in Ocean Road or in Northeast as Indian curry, you have to come here. Then this is something else, you know. You know, see the all old way, old style. You can maybe see our decoration and everything. It's not the fancy. We can do that fancy, but we don't want to. We want, you know, the original way, how it was. If you go to in India or Bangladesh, how you eat the food.
There's a lot of attachment, emotional attachment. You know, imagine my dad lost his father at the age of 14, and she was 16. And he had two shops, one at Prince Edward Road and one on Ocean Road. And they could have decided, actually, they just weren't going to do anything with it. It was my auntie who was like, we've got to keep this going. And so together they then built something.
I don't know whether you want to call it heritage or institution, but just about everybody knows us. The number of times I go somewhere to not necessarily buy stuff for the railway, and sort of get talking to someone and say, what you do? Do you know the little railway in the park at Shield? Oh yes, we've been on that.
It's a massive community. You know, everything even on the walls in here has a story. The picture above the fireplace of the Ironsider tug was donated to me because a customer's wife wanted to throw it away. And this particular customer said, do you want it? I was like, yeah, definitely. And we get older guys coming in who used to work on the river. They go, I used to work on that tug. That's amazing. The ship directly behind me, very similar story. His wife wanted it thrown in the skip and he couldn't bear the thought of it going. So it's in here now. And he comes in and like, that was my ship. And he knows it's being appreciated now. So we're like a museum as well as a pub.
Few weeks back also come exactly this table in this corner. The couple, they came here from Australia. And they are old, honestly. They are, I think, 80 plus or something like that. And they came first with their parents here. And they meet each other also when they was young, in 18, 19, in this restaurant. That was their first meal. And now they live in Australia. Now they came still here, you know. What do you want more in life? These people are happy and we feed them. This is the good memory, you know. This is enough for stuff in there for us.
It's a lovely balanced town. There's as many Newcastle supporters as Sunderland supporters. You know, it's a very balanced town. We've had people from way back, the Syrians who looked after Kira for Fort, to the Bangladeshi community, to people from the Yemen. We've been a very mixed cultural town, and that's a strength for our town, and one that we're really are proud of, that we have welcomed people from around the world for hundreds of years, and long may that happen.
Makes us proud. I'm beyond words to get to this point, but now I just feel like a custodian for the next generation. It's almost we're just carrying it on for the next generation now and bringing it forward and making it better for the next one. I would love to see my kids come into the business, take it further and see if we can get to 200 years.
I know my dad would have been so proud, because the migrant that came in 1963 would never been able to dream that one day his grandchildren would graduate from Durham University. He faced tremendous barriers when he first came to this country: language barriers, racial barriers, cultural barriers. So there's a lot of barriers he had to overcome. And so I guess he laid those foundations for my generation. and then for my kid generation, and it's the same for all migrant Bangladeshis. That generation of Bangladeshis, my father's generation, who came to this country, who came to South Shields. And I guess South Shields give them that opportunity because South Shields embraced the Bangladeshi community.
We grew up sort of in the area, and we'd come out to the beach, especially in the summer, and we'd think, because the weather's not great a lot of the time, but when the sun's out, the beach is full. And I remember we'd come out, all my mates would come out, we'd buy a football in the market, we'd walk down Ocean Road, down to the beach, and we'd spend all day playing footy, jumping in the sea, and then I'd go home sunburnt, my ma would tell us off. And we used to do that every day for 2 weeks, because that's when we had the sun.
I mean, there was a customer here who was like severely ill, and like basically lost all his appetite, and and because of that lost so much weight. And one of the only things he decided to eat was Minchala's ice cream. So I'm not saying that it's a healthy choice to eat ice cream every day, but you know, in his position, that's all he could have done. And he actually, you know, managed to gain weight again, and you know, make a recovery from a pretty dire situation.
We have to remember South Tyneside has a rich history of migration, rich history of diversity. So we must always remember that. And that is what I personally feel, that people like us who have come here many years ago, we have invested our lives here. It wasn't just we just stood on the margins and just didn't do anything. There are many people like me who are activists, who are creators. We have invested our lives in doing something. And if we stop, if we let other voices win, then that means all of these years' work has gone to pots.
St Aidan's Hall, which was off Ocean Road, I went to see Puss in Boots. I remember it clearly. And coincidentally, years later, I was talking about that being my first experience of pantomime, watching the happy-go-luckies do Puss in Boots. And the person I was talking to was a person who's still alive now, she's 99, called Jean Southern. And Jean Southern, who started over there in an amateur theatre, ended up as the trolley lady in Harry Potter, giving out, do you want anything off the trolley, in the first Harry Potter movie. And she still lives in Shields. Now, isn't that amazing?
One memory that sticks with me in Shields, in Ocean Road shop actually, is when Sting came. And I know I didn't want to go on to famous people, but I can't not mention this. So he came and he did a lecture at Heart and School, and he came back for fish and chips. And I knew he was coming, so I brought my guitar and to sign. What I wasn't expecting is for him to come in the back kitchen, sit on top of the fryer and belt a couple of tunes out. It was just like one of those surreal moments where I was like, Sting's sitting on the fryer, belting a couple of tunes out. Like, what's going on here? I just don't feel like anything will top that.
My earliest memories were in my father's restaurant, going to my father's restaurant on a Saturday, having my first ever taste of a poppadom, and having a Coke, them glass bottles, and then the tandoori chef taking me up, holding me up, and for me looking down into that burning pit, which was the tandoori oven, which had just been introduced in my father's restaurant. And I can remember being absolutely mesmerized by the smell of tandoori chicken. Oh my God, it was sensational. And then sitting at the front, having poppadoms, and just being absolutely mesmerized by my father, his brute aftershave, his pristine suit, and the way he would serve his guests. Wow. Me and my siblings were absolutely inspired from an early age.
And running a pub by yourself is, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You don't get time off. You're always on call. I've got fabulous staff who do give me a bit of respite, which is wonderful. But it's a really hard trade to be in. But I love it at the same time because of the people, because of the staff, because of this particular pub being so, it's just got a wonderful feel when you come in this pub. It's comfortable and it's welcoming and relaxing, and I wouldn't want, if I had to leave the steamboat, I would never go to another pub. This is my pub and that's it.
And they love to come here, you know, because it's their memory. They came here since 1960, 65, something like that. And they still come here because, and they say this is same kind of food, you know, same kind of the tasty here is still, you know, this authenticity in an Indian restaurant. And you will not get any other restaurant like this, honestly. You got other things, but not this way. For the old authentic stuff in Indian curry. This you will get only this stuff India, in Ocean Road.
It was part of your life, you know. I suppose on a Sunday as kids, we used to drive to the factory with my dad because he'd have to go and check the fridges, check that the temperatures of the fridges were right, you know. So you'd see pies just ready to go, ready to lumps of meat ready to process into pies and sausages. So it was a way of life for us.
Yeah, you don't know what you've got till you've missed it, you know what I mean? They say that about the seaside. You don't know until because it's on your doorstep, you just disregard it.
Take it for granted, don't you?
Aye, it's for granted. But when you're away, you think, oh, I wouldn't mind being there now. I wouldn't mind being sat on that beach. It's just everything. It's the views. I don't know, the seaside, it's the smell and everything. It's just, it lets you know you're home, you know.
It is like my world, really. It's where I live, where I work. It's my family name. I just feel that Minchala's ice cream is so interwoven within South Shields. We've been selling ice cream here for 90 years.
Sangeeni's aim is to promote health and well-being among women from Black and minoritized communities, as well as marginalized women from all backgrounds through arts and crafts. So that really became the mission, because that's how it started. Women gathering with a bit of food around a kitchen table, and over a year they found that they were truly making a difference in each other's lives.
There will be a stage where I want to retire. The next thing is a handover that sees it continue as such. You've already met my stepson. You know, he wants to take it forward. Hopefully it'll be here for another 50 years.